Hello and welcome to the BVB update for July 18th. I'm Stefan Butzko, and in this format I cover Borussia Dortmund news of the day. And today, sadly, I have to start with terrible news because Sebastien Haller has had to leave the training camp today because a tumor was discovered in his testicles. Borussia Dortmund released a press release late in the day which read, "The 28-year-old complained of feeling unwell after training on Monday morning. During the course of the day, intensive medical examinations finally revealed a tumor in his testicle. During the coming days, further examinations will take place in a specialized medical center." And then Borussia Dortmund sporting director Sebastian Haller was quoted, "This news today was a shock for Sebastien Haller and all of us. The entire BVB family wishes Sebastien a full recovery as soon as possible and that we can embrace him again soon. We will do everything in our power to ensure that he receives the best possible treatment." And then the press release continues, Borussia Dortmund asks that the privacy of the player and his family be respected and that no further inquiries be made. As soon as we have further information, we will give an update in consultation with the player. Yeah, these are obviously very devastating news for a 28-year-old. And right now I have nothing else to say than get well soon, Sebastian. I hope you make a very speedy recovery. And I'll try to move on now to the other subjects that happened today. And part of that is, of course, the 3-1 loss against FC Valencia, where Marco Reus was the sole goal scorer for Borussia Dortmund in the 51 minute from the penalty spot because Jamie Bino Gittens in the second half dribbled into the box, was fouled. And they also leaked 3 goals by Guedes, who scored a brace, and André. So let's take a quick look at the starting 11. As you can see, 2 of the new signings are in the starting 11. Guerreiro, Schlotterbeck, Hummels and Meunier formed the backline. Then you had the Dahoud Bellingham double pivot. Hazard and Adeyemi were the inverted wingers, if you will, because Adeyemi, of course, is left-footed. Marco Reus played on the number 10, and then you had Moukoko up front. Obviously, Sebastien Haller did not feature today. Also out today were Gio Reyna, Daniel Malen and Emre Can after still not being 100% because they sustained muscular injuries at the end of last season, basically, and are carrying these over into this season. Charles Özcan is also still recovering from a bruise that he suffered before Dortmund traveled to Switzerland. And of course, Tom Rothe is also out after experiencing muscular problems during the training camp. And Manuel Akanji and Nico Schulz did not participate in order to not risk any injuries, since Dortmund do intend to sell them this transfer window. And I want to say that the first half looked quite decent. Dortmund, especially in the first 15-20 minutes, had a very high press, managed to play relatively fast, created a couple of good chances, be it Reus, Hazard or Moukoko, but couldn't quite put them away. But after the cooling break, I think after like 25 minutes, there was a drop off in energy. And of course, the defensive organization with that suffered. And in the second half, and we can take a look at the lineup of the second half, because Prince Anding came in for Guerreiro at left back, Süle replaced Schlotterbeck, and with that Hummels moved to the left. Also Felix Passlack replaced Meunier, and one note there, Mathieu Morey was back in the squad today, which of course is really great news, but he didn't feature in the game either. And of course Julian Brandt then played in the double pivot next to Dahoud, which to some extent explains why Dortmund in the second half weren't as crisp maybe as in the first half. And then Jamie Bino Gittens, as previously mentioned, was playing on the left wing for Hazard, and then Wolf for Adeyemi on the right. And Moukoko and Reus stayed for a long time. I think they were subbed off very late for Koulibaly and Kamara. And that's pretty much it. There are a couple of post-game quotes by Edin Terzic and Nico Schlotterbeck, of course. Terzic after the game said, quote, "Valencia was very aggressive and very compact today. After 15 minutes in the first half, we managed to get a hold of the game. In the second half, we failed to get a hold of the game altogether." And then he said, "We had a lot of good ball recoveries in the first half. We managed to get the opponent to where we wanted to recover the ball. In some situations, we could have forced a turnover, but we were lacking a few meters to complete the tackle." And then he concluded, "We don't like defeats, but it's good to be challenged in a test match." And Nico Schlotterbeck, also with a couple of post-game quotes, he said, quote, "It was the first test with the national players. We still have room to improve, but that's normal after an intense week of training. It was okay for the beginning, but you still want to win such a game. The opponent was very strong. They're a good team, but conceding 3 goals is obviously too much. The communication with Mats Hummels went quite well. We have already trained together relatively much this week." And then about the large support at the Cash Point Arena in Austria, he said, Dortmund has a lot of fans everywhere, whether in Germany or abroad. That's new for me. As a football player, you want to make the fans happy. So, yeah, I'm just going to move on to the next story. And of course, Sebastien Haller had one of the training camp news conferences today, and he was talking about how happy he is with the preseason so far. But obviously, those things were probably said before he had the news of Sebastien Haller having a tumor in his testicle. So take these next quote with a grain of salt, but about the preseason in general, he did say, quote, "We're happy with the preseason so far. You can already see glimpses of new ideas being implemented, but with the asterisk that a lot of international players joined us extremely late." And then he also talked about the remodeling of the squad, where he said, quote, "We're already far ahead in our rebuild because we were able to finalize a lot of transfers early. That's down to us analyzing the problems last season very early, and thus we could act on them early. Our new signings have integrated quickly, they have been accepted well by the others, and for some it feels like they have been here longer than just a couple of days. I love the energy in our club, it looks like everyone is excited about the new season." And then he also addressed a couple of rumors, because in recent days there were reports that Dortmund would be open to selling him. But Kiel said there, quote, "The rumors that Dortmund or Edin Terzic isn't planning with Julian Brandt are false. There were several rumors of that kind in recent weeks which aren't true, but I'm not going to issue a statement every single time when these reports are out." And then he continued, "Julian made a big step forward last season. He scored more goals, he provided more assists, and he's going into the season with a lot of ambition. He wants to play for Germany at the World Cup, I think." And then he also gave a quick update about Manuel Akanji's situation, where he said, quote, "Manuel Akanji never had any missteps at Borussia Dortmund. Manuel never asked for too much money. We wanted to renew his contract last year, but he told us very early on that he wanted to seek a new challenge. Manuel is still part of the group. He is still under contract. Obviously, it's not an ideal situation, but we are still very relaxed, and we just await the developments in the coming weeks." So yeah, then he also gave a couple of other updates, because he was asked whether the previous roles of himself and Edin Terzic, meaning the head of the licensed player department and the technical director, would eventually be filled. And he said yes, because he is not able to fulfill all these roles by himself right now, and that he just doesn't have the capacity for it. But at the same time, he wants to have a rigorous recruiting process. And thus they haven't been filled yet. But, you know, I think in the coming months or so, Dortmund might hire new people. I don't know if any one of us will know the people that Dortmund will hire for these very crucial positions, obviously. But it was still nice to get an update for that. And of course, he was also once again asked about the playing style that he wants to see as a sporting director. And he once again said, "Dortmund want to play attractive attacking football with elements of pressing and elements of counter-attacking football, but also with a certain compactness after leaking 52 goals last season." And then I have a report from Ruhrnachrichten, where they reported about the contract situations of Youssoufa Moukoko and Mo Dahoud, since both their contracts are running out in 2023. And Ruhrnachrichten report that BVB want to hold talks with Mo Dahoud about a contract extension in the near future, because both the player and the club have signaled that they want to extend. And regarding Moukoko, they write that he wants to wait after the preseason preparations to assess how his chances for playing time are before he makes a decision about a possible extension. And yeah, then a couple more subjects. One is that Borussia Dortmund have a new permanent sleeve sponsor after Opel, the car manufacturers, ended their contract with Borussia Dortmund last season. And yeah, it's GLS, a parcel delivery service. You know, there you go. That's all I have on that. And yeah, one quick plug, an article by Zach Wallminster for fearthewall.com, where he talks about the case for and against Rafael Guerreiro. So please go check that out. And this is all I have for today. Once again, get well soon, Sebastien Haller. And yeah, I'm signing off. See you next time. Goodbye.